Hi there. Very glad to have you all. Episode 2 of The Gilded Age begins with Miriam preparing for the arrival of a lawyer called Mr. Rakes. He's the man who settled Henry's estate and he's due to visit.
By the way, someone from home is coming to the city. I got a letter this morning.
A friend from Pennsylvania?
Not exactly. The lawyer who managed my father's affairs when he died.
Peggy chirps up when she learns about this, wanting to speak to him about a personal matter. Peggy plays her cards close to her chest though, not telling Miriam the exact reason why. We as the audience also don't learn why either, at least not this episode anyway. Meanwhile, Agnes continued to express disdain toward Gladys and the Russell family. Ada is much more receptive though, pointing out to her sister that money isn't everything. The thing is, in this society money talks.
Will you include Mrs. Russell among your stallholders?
Apparently not.
Just mean to insult her first.
And it's worth remembering this line as it comes into play during the chapter's climax. Anyway, I digress. Mrs. Morris and the others refuse outright, wanting the event to be as pure as possible.
Money isn't everything.
It is when you haven't got it.
The irony here is that they could really do with the Russells' money in order to make the event a success, which is due to be held at the Veterans Room. Mr. and Mrs. Morris soon show up at the Russell house to discuss about the charity bazaar. Verbal daggers are thrown across the table between Bertha and Mrs. Morris as their hot lunch is juxtaposed by the icy words traded.
It's harder to make it one's own, isn't it, when it wasn't built for you? Is Morris Hunt a relation?
No.
Oh, I suppose Morris is quite a common name.
This verbal spat soon paves way for George talking to Patrick in confidence. George wants to build a new station to shake up the railroad, encouraging Mr. Morris that it's in his interest to buy shares before agreeing to do the deal. In doing so, the share price would then skyrocket and give them all a tidy profit. It's an under-the-table suggestion, hence why it's not done in the official capacity of the office, and something George is quick to admit is just a suggestion. When the pair leave, it's clear the real reason for this night was to reel in Patrick for work, rather than the squabbling ladies and the charity event. Meanwhile, trouble brews outside for Mrs. Bauer, the Russell cook. She has a big gambling debt and Peggy notices the debt collector outside. She owes $50, around $1,200 in today's terms, and Peggy urges Miriam to help her out.
How much did she lose?
About $50. Can't we help her?
Let me think. And don't forget our appointment tomorrow.
Ever the one with a kind heart, Miriam asks Oscar for help with paying the debt. Although he agrees, Oscar does so on one condition: they set up a luncheon with Gladys.
If you do me a favor in return,
Of course, if I can.
then give a luncheon party. And invite Miss Gladys Russell.
Would she be allowed to come?
She'll be allowed to lunch with you.
But don't you already know her?
Not well enough.
Ada soon catches wind of what's happening and interjects. She speaks to Miriam in confidence and decides to pay the debt herself. She also encourages Miriam to come to her next time something like this happens. In the morning, things take a turn for the worst. The charity bazaar event is due to go ahead but not at the Veterans Room. Instead, the women have moved the event to the Fifth Avenue Hotel.
It's so pretty. Look over here.
When Bertha finds out, she's livid. The Russell family show up and George immediately ruffles feathers.
How much money do you hope to raise over the next 3 days?
I suppose I'm hoping for $30 or even $40.
Here's $100.
In fact, he buys out every single stall, demanding everyone pack up their gear and move to their own ballroom. It's absolutely genius, and although Mrs. Morris isn't convinced this is going to win anyone over, money talks, and with George waving away bills so readily, it certainly makes a splash. As everyone begins to peel out, Mrs. Morris is left with a free morning. So naturally, she heads upstairs as gracefully as one can.